Hey y'all, it's Dinosa, and I'm doing a quick review because a sequel is coming out on about a movie that's actually been very popular over here, and it stars Will Ferrell, and it's one of the more popular ones called Anchorman. Now, at first I thought it was just some throwback '70s cheesy movie, and that's exactly what it is on that, but it provided a lot of comedy that you don't see on television anymore. Um, and it also showed an industry that was dominated heavily by males changing into women being in those roles on that. So there were a lot of interesting aspects about it. The film circles around a character by the name of Ron Burgundy, who is got this. He's got the total '70s hair, not like this, and the total mustache um, that was common in that time. And he basically had his crew or his cronies that were all running there, and they were Channel 4 News. And they would go out and report everything, and then they would go out and chase girls all the time. Well, then, as many people this happens to, then the special girl comes along that changes everything. And Ron Burgundy falls in love with this girl, which I think it's Christina Applegate, but I'm not 100% sure. I didn't read the credits. But it looks a lot like her. Um, but he falls in love with the girl, but then this girl is a career-minded person and is a good girl, but she wants to be an anchor woman, which was unheard of at the time. Um, so then what happens is Ron is going to work one day and he gets into an accident with a motorcycle guy, which he has a little dog with him named Baxter, and the motorcycle guy got ticked off and took the dog and kicked it off the bridge. Except you could tell, obviously, he kicked off a stuffed animal, not the real dog, which the PETA would just have a fit about, which I didn't like that scene that much because I did. It was an expense at a joke of a dog being kicked off a bridge, and that's just me. I wasn't too thing. I was like, oh, I mean, it's one thing to make fun of people, call people these names and everything, but to make a dog and a clear attempt of animal abuse just to get revenge because of an accident that happened on a road, that's just not cool on that. But but it was filled with the comedy, which then he fell into Ron Burgundy fell into a depression, which then led to him getting fired and having the girl that he was on and he wasn't off on that be taking over as the news source. And this is how it is. Sorry about that. And had a little scare there. So then we move on to Ron Burgundy on that he's depressed, and it's a typical thing. And this movie's full of cameos from like Ben Stiller, Danny Trejo, who's a bartender. I think even what's his name? The Cox. It's not Courtney Cox. It's oh no, sorry, Arquette. David Arquette's in it. It's just a bunch of movies, a bunch of things. And Ben Stiller's role cameo was funny when he pretends. Channel 4 News with Ron Burgundy was just the top guys, and you had all these different other news networks all hate each other, and then Ben Stiller's cameo as the Spanish newscaster was hilarious. That was the only thing I thought was hilarious. It was just funny. The whole film, though, it was about comedy, and it was about like going in a different direction with thing, and it was a lacking film. Other than his four buddies, out of the four buddies, the only one who was funny was the guy with the glasses. When he was like, do you want to have a party in my pants? And it was kind of funny, but it was just overblown. I really don't understand why people think this film is that funny. I admit I'm not always the best judge of movies as far as comedy is concerned, because there are several movies I had to watch 2 or 3 times to understand how funny they are. There's other times I've had to watch movies once. I thought it was just absolutely hilarious. This film, it was funny. It was a Saturday Night Live funny kind of thing, but I don't think it was a legendary funny. And I don't even understand how they're making a sequel to it. But they're going to. They're coming out with Anchorman 2, which I'll review shortly. The reason why this review is so short is there's not much to really review. It's the typical, here are the badasses. Here's the woman that comes in that changes everything. Here's the leader of the badasses, a drunk fool in the bar. Here's a crisis where the woman is not present and in the bear pit. Okay, they call the badass to come back and finish review, and then the badass realizes he can't do this on his own and he loves the girl, and then they live happily ever after, and blah 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 blah. It wasn't. That's the point. I mean, it was, other than cameos, it really was not. It was almost like I'm watching Austin Powers Gold. I'm not Gold member. Austin Powers on that in a way, and even Austin Powers had some uniqueness that I could probably do a better review on that. I just there was just not very much. It was a typical story, and it was a typical the comedy was a stretch. And I mean, the only thing that was kind of funny is that they had one scene where the woman and the guy, are like doing the closing credits. You have the closing credits coming up like this, and they are talking the dirtiest stuff to each other, and then all you see on the television is the credits, and they're like blah 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 blah. You have no idea what they're saying, and you know what? That stuff like that is probably really realistic. On that, I'm sure there were probably scenes or played in real life when they used to do that. One of the most interesting things, though, there was a scene where they showed Ron Burgundy with a cigarette on television, and that in the 60s, especially if you look at the John F. Kennedy, the day of the assassination, the day after the assassination, all the news networks, you had guys like there, and you put the ashtray right there, and you see the smoke coming up just from the ashtray, you know. And this is film or video from the 1969, and there was smoke, and in some cases on the news reports you had a big sign that said Winston. And I actually did a report about Winston and tobacco in the mainstream media, and it was very fascinating how much Winston was involved with mainstream media and how they paid so much money to get these networks off the ground. And once it got off the ground, boom, they turned on them. It's really interesting. But it was fun. Even as a side thing, in the 60s, the Flintstones had a Winston commercial. It's interesting on that. But the film pays a lot of homage to the past news directors' homage and the cheesiness. But it's like an attempt at Austin Powers. To go back to here, I don't understand how they're doing a sequel other than they're going to the next level. But the whole thing, I mean, there was funny moments. There's funny. I just don't see it on the level of funny it is. I could see it's a Saturday Night Live recurring skit. How it's a movie, how it became popular, I don't know. But then again, I mean, Austin Powers, it took the second film to hook me. The first one I was just annoyed with. I thought it was just dumb. It was the second film that was kind of funny. The Gold member was hilarious. But it was the second that helped me out. But anyway, this is Dinosa. I'm going to sign off on this early because there's not much else to talk about on that. But I hope you're all having a good holiday, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.